The more you know that you don't know. The more you know that you don't know. The more you know that you don't know. Do you know who said that? Anybody? I'll answer that, but before, a very warm welcome to all of you who are here in this meditation session happening every Monday from 7 to 8 p.m. I see a couple of people are new to the session. Can you please raise your hands who are new here? Welcome to the group. We intend to here in this session learn meditation from different perspectives. We're not promoting any religion, we're not promoting any spiritual cult or anything like that. The idea here is to have a space for ourselves that we could learn, introspect, explore, and meditate together. In every session, we choose a theme and we try to use that theme to introspect, to go into a mode where it's easier to move into meditation. Because if you directly from where you are, you're coming from office, you're coming from other things, other discussions, if you just sit down right now into meditation, it's very hard for you to suddenly put everything off and sit in silence. So what we do here is try to find these different ways into entering into meditation using different techniques. In the last 6 months of these sessions, we have gone through several different ways. We have used objects, we have used different props, breathing techniques, concentration techniques, awareness techniques, and many other things. Now back to the answer to my question. The statement, the more you know that you don't know, is from Aristotle, which means, or which gives a hint that today's session is a bit philosophical. So bear with me if I get carried away with philosophy. Stop me if you feel that it's too much, or ask. But it's important to go into these philosophies. There were 3 giants of Greek philosophy that were living in 300 to 400 BC: Plato, Aristotle, and Socrates. Imagine 300 to 400 BC is 2300 to 2400 years away from now. That's a long time ago. And their work was so phenomenal that these 3 are considered as the founders of modern philosophy. Whatever philosophical work that we do today is all dependent on what they had done before. Just like today is the era of science and technology, the progress that we are doing in the last 50 years, 100 years in science and technology is the foundation for generations to come on what has been done in science and technology. So every decade, every century, every era has its own golden period. The golden period of philosophy was this 300, 400 BC when these Greeks, they came in and they did their work. One of these 3 was Socrates, and his work was the most prominent because he was the oldest of all these 3. It was so revolutionary at that time, his thoughts, his work, that he was sentenced to death by the society, by the government, in the name of corrupting the minds of people. So he was charged to bring in ideas that were disrupting the society. They were so revolutionary that he had to accept death than changing his ideas, changing his way, changing his philosophy. But today, after he's dead, we still remember him for all the work he has done. We still base the modern philosophy on all his thoughts, all his findings, all his work. That's the significance of what he had done 2300, 2400 years ago. And there's one particular sentence that he brings in, which intrigues me the most. It's known as the Socrates paradox. The sentence is, I know that I know nothing. It's a very, very powerful sentence. If it's just a thought, then maybe it's not so significant. But if it's a realization, if it's something that you come at in your introspection, that I know that I don't know anything or I know nothing, it's a place where new things are possible. It's a space, it's a starting point for many, 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 many new things. Just take a moment and ponder over this sentence, I know that I know nothing. For a philosopher, it might be just a philosophy. For a meditator, it's even more significant, because every meditator who goes through this journey, who goes through an inner introspection, comes to this realization at some point in time where he comes across this fact that I know nothing. There are 4 stages which can be roughly broken down for a meditator, generally from all different directions and different ways to approach the same journey of introspection, the same quest of understanding who am I, of understanding what is this world, what is the purpose of my life, what is the purpose of all this. And these 4 stages are, the first stage is when you say I know. And this is where, when you have read something somewhere, when you have heard somebody saying something, and you have a lot of information about things with you, and you are in the mode of I know. This is a sign of ignorance, at least for a meditator. And you can see this also in our general behavior in other aspects as well, beyond spirituality, beyond just meditation. Then the second phase, the second stage is I don't know. When the mind expands a little bit more, there is more exposure to information, to also a little bit of understanding of oneself, comes a time where you say, I don't know. And this is significant. But you're still within the realm of mind. You're still trying to find the answers within the realm of mind. When you move further, when your consciousness expands further, when you go deeper into yourself, comes this third stage, which is I know that I know nothing. And this is the beginning of really understanding, knowing, of having your consciousness experiencing directly what it is, how it is, things the way they are. Once again, the sentence, I know that I know nothing. This means that in the realm of your mind, in your own version of things, there is no answer possible. And now it's time to go beyond the mind, because there is nothing in this mind that satisfies the query, that satisfies the question, and is the possibility to go out of it, is the possibility to go beyond, is the possibility for new ideas, for new experiences, for going beyond the mind. And when you do that, then comes the fourth stage, which is complete silence. Every meditator has this goal, in a way, given to him, that he reaches to the silence where all questions, any question becomes shorter, falls short, becomes smaller than the silence of the meditator, and there is no need to answer any question. It doesn't mean that you have ignored the question. It simply means that your consciousness has expanded to that extent, and it is so silent, your whole inner space is so silent that there are no questions anymore. What is the practical implication for this, for us, all this philosophy? Let me give you an example of a spiritual question, and then we can translate this to our practical questions. The simple spiritual question is, who am I? When you start with the first stage, when the meditator in his first stage, he says, I know. And how he says, I know? He says, I know I am my name, my descriptions, my gender, my this and that, all descriptions, all labels, all information. Then he goes deeper to the second level for this question, who am I? Then he realizes, I don't know. I don't know who am I. And that's the phase where he's maybe feeling uncomfortable. His mind is trying to find the answer, because mind always tries to give the answer before actually the answer comes. Before actually you move into realization, the mind tries to give you all the answers it can possibly give you. Then when the meditator goes to the third stage, where he realizes that I know nothing. Even about the question, who am I? When you come to this realization, then not only this question, everything else, you say, I know that I know nothing. And then comes the fourth stage, which is silence. In this silence, this question dissolves, and you have, in a way you can say the answer, or in a way you can say you're home. In a way you can say you are who you are, and many, many different versions of how people have described this state. The practicality of it, we all have several questions in our head. We are not talking about mundane questions of what am I going to eat later after the meditation session, the pizza or a spaghetti, but more deeper questions each one of us have. Maybe it's not the question, who am I? Maybe it's another question. You need to find out what's your question, which is in a way in your inner space alive, and often whenever you get a chance, you think about it. It comes to your surface once in a while when you're sitting alone, when you're relaxed, when you're in a meditative mood, when you're in a philosophical mood, and then it goes back and you go back into your mundane cycle of things. So each of those questions can be approached with these four phases in a similar way. All these phases, meditators go over a very, very long period of time, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years of meditation. What we are going to do today is to simulate that in a 20 minutes session and try to see if we can, from these four different perspectives, 4 different stands, 4 different phases, see our question and observe ourselves. How does it feel? Like if you take a question for yourself, which could be, if nothing comes to your mind, just simply ask yourself, who am I? Or what is the purpose of my life? Or what makes me happy? Or what do I want? A simple question like, what do I really want? Even that kind of a question, we will look with these 4 different stages in the meditation. I'll guide you through. The first stage is where we will look at this question with a stance that I know the answer to that question. We will observe ourselves, how do we feel in this introspection. Then we will look at this question from the second stance, which is I don't know, and see how do we feel. When we look at this question from how I don't know, how do I feel? Third stance, I know that I know nothing. We look at this question from the third stance, and then we will see when we are completely silent, how does it feel to have this question? Do you feel the need to answer this question? What do you feel? So experiment openly with whatever comes to you, whatever is your natural feeling about each of these different phases for your question. Is it clear what we are going to do today? Sounds complicated, but I will guide you through, so it's not that complicated. As long as you bring in a little more introspection into this session, into the next 20-25 minutes, and I hope you will have some revelations about how you are actually thinking, how you are actually processing, and what is going on in your inner space when you have these fundamental questions of life and when you answer them from different stances and move into silence from these different ways. Is it clear how we are going to do that? Shall we try that? Alright, then close your eyes. Take a couple of deep breaths to relax your body. Keep your back straight. Shoulders relaxed. And face also relaxed. Take another deep breath and relax. Now choose a question that will be your introspection for the next minutes. A question that is significant to you. And bring your awareness to this question. Try to focus on this question. For the next minutes, forget everything else and keep your attention on this question. You may mentally repeat this question to bring your attention more and more on this question. As you're fully attentive of this question, respond to this question with I know. And observe your inner space, how you feel about this response. I know. Keep your attention at the question and your response, I know. If you get distracted by anything, simply bring back your attention to the question and your response. Keep your attention on the question and change your response to I don't know. I don't know. Observe how you feel when you respond with I don't know to your question. I don't know. Keep your attention at the question and your response. I don't know. I don't know. Allow this response to settle in you and observe how it feels. Keep your attention at the question and now change your response to I know that I know nothing. Allow your awareness to go deeper into this response. I know that I know nothing. Attention back on the question and your response. I know that I know nothing. I know that I know nothing. Allow yourself to settle in this response. I know that I know nothing. Keep your attention at the response. I know that I know nothing. I know that I know nothing. I know that I know nothing. And leave the question and slowly move into silence. I know that I know nothing. Allow yourself to relax and become more silent. I know that I know nothing. Now even leave the response, and for the next minutes just remain still and silent. Remain aware of yourself and remain silent. No more movement. Absolutely still and silent. Remain aware of yourself and allow yourself to be more silent. Keep on breathing very naturally and softly. Remain in this silence for a couple of more minutes. Maintain this state of calm and silence as you gently and very slowly open your eyes. Now we take a couple of minutes, and if we have any questions, if you have any comments, if you liked something, if you disliked something that we did today, we share it with everyone so that we learn and we continue further. Any questions? Any comments? Was it so good or was it so bad? Yes.
It's just very, very different, to focus on the statement I know.
Yeah.
And then I don't know. Doesn't feel so good. Then
Yeah.
I know that I don't know. It's a lot better.
Yes, that's the...
Perhaps that's got to do with that in the course of your life you ask lots and lots of questions. And especially as a teacher,
Yes.
I don't know whether I'm making myself clear.
No, this is exactly how one experiences these different ways or these different phases. And as you mentioned, when you move from I know to I don't know, that's the hardest part. Because you have no answer, and we are not used to not having an answer. In the ways we live, in the kind of work we do, we always have to have an answer. And that forces us to answer everything, even if that answer does not make any sense. Especially more importantly, for fundamental questions. If we force ourselves to immediately answer, then the possibility of actually the answer revealing to us is dead. And in a way, we are trained to do so. In a way, we are trained to come up with the answer before the answer comes to us. You know, in a way, we are forced to come up with the answer from our mind, then actually the experience or the expanded sense of things allowing us to reach to the answer. So that's the difficult part, and for some people even more difficult is when you say, I know that I know nothing, because we have such big egos that we don't want to come to a point where we say, I don't know anything, or I know nothing. This is where a lot of people get stuck. They can't face that. They can't say to themselves that I know nothing. It sounds like I'm a fool or I'm a unintelligent person. On the contrary, this is the sign of intelligence. This is the sign of wisdom. And we all know deep down that that's true, even if we don't want to accept it on the surface. So it's again a very philosophical approach to silence. Maybe not to everyone's liking, maybe not to everyone's taste, but those who are somewhat philosophical in nature, those who like to think through things and go through these topics more introspectively, I think it's a valuable way to go through these steps. Anything else?
I guess this moment that you face the reality that you don't know, it ignites the feelings of guilt and fear, and people are not comfortable with this. And after that, when you admit that you don't know, you know that you don't know, you kind of accept the situation and are happy with it.
Yeah, that acceptance has also a good taste. It's not only a bad thing to accept. It doesn't mean that you don't grow anymore. It doesn't mean that you have failed. That acceptance is not the failure, but rather something that opens up new paradigm, new possibility. Because you have closed the mind, you have said, okay, within the realm of my mind, there is no answer to it. But other people get stuck in, they want to find the answer within the zone of the mind, they don't move. But you, if you say, okay, I accept that within my mind, I have no answer for this, then you can go further. And yeah, it's hard. You have to face fears, that you have to face many things that arise in your own mind, in your own process. But we have to go through that, and we don't have to even share it or talk about it, but even if we remain honest with ourselves about it, that's more than enough. And then comes the next step, which is to for a while put this away and just remain silent. There is a reason why I'm so much emphasizing on the silence in this session and in previous sessions, because the moment it starts settling in you, you will see that it has its own potency, it has its own aliveness, out of which everything else that was missing, that starts filling in. So, anything else?
I think the quality of answers is different when you are in the silence mode than if you are in the conscious mode of I know.
Yeah.
And so I enjoyed that other aspects are popping up.
Yeah. I'm glad that you enjoyed that. If there are no more questions, I just have one announcement. We will not have the session next Monday, but I hope that you will at your home or wherever you are would give yourself a few minutes to just sit down and shut yourself off from everything else. Be with yourself, and I will see you in 2 weeks. This would be, I think, one of the exceptions that we are missing Mondays. After this, we have regular every Mondays sessions as we do every time. Thank you very much for joining me in this meditation. See you in 2 weeks.